The best money you can possibly invest is to invest in yourself and your own growth.
Welcome to the Keys to Your Legacy with your host, Elijah Keys.
Hey, thanks everyone for joining us on Keys to Your Legacy. I am joined by Teemaree. Is that the right pronunciation?
Yes.
Teemaree, who is a life coach. Now, I met Teemaree in a podcast. I think it was a podcast group on Facebook, but Teemaree was looking for people to chat with, and we chatted for a while, and she's a really interesting person. So really glad to have you on. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me today. Yes, I'm doing great. I'm doing great today. I'm happy to be here with you, and I appreciate you having me on.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Let me ask you, we were chatting just a little bit before the show, and you described a life coach really well, and I'd never heard it described that way. I've always heard a life coach as someone who motivates you and someone who tells you what's wrong, but what is a life coach?
Oh, goodness gracious. Consider it this way. So, just like there are many different types of physicians that can help you with many different types of health needs, wants, changes you need to make, a life coach, and there are varied, the descriptions you've heard in the past also fit certain life coaches. But my style of life coaching and life coaching, how I like to put it, is I help my clients to overcome the personal challenges. Sometimes it is mindset, sometimes it's strategy, sometimes it's perspective. The personal challenges that they have so they can achieve their next best. And that's how I like to put it in a nice little bubble. So hopefully it's easier to understand kind of the work that we do together.
So if I was to put one word on your work, which is really unfair, but if I was to put one word, it might be perspective. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, that is a fair statement. Perspective has a lot to do with it. And it seems like something so easy for us to achieve, yet it can be so challenging, especially when we are feeling overwhelmed, stressed,
Mhm.
frustrated, down, or we simply don't know what we don't know. So, perspective, it's a good way to put a one word label on it.
Yeah. I don't know if the public knows this, but I have four coaches. Four. I have
Yes.
one attorney coach, I have a business coach, I have a development coach, and then I have a leadership coach. And so all those people help me understand and grow faster. I could learn everything that they teach me. I could learn it myself. But the question is, can I learn it myself faster and better and without making mistakes that I would otherwise make? And so I love coaching. I think it's fantastic because for me, not for anybody else, just for me, from my experience, that just what you said, I don't know what I don't know. And the most important thing for me is to be more effective. And if somebody can show me how to be more effective, it's fantastic. I love it.
Yes. And I'm so glad that you said what you just said about having multiple coaches, because I think sometimes for the general public, it can be challenging to say, why would I pay someone to help me for this kind of thing that I can't really see? You
Yeah.
nailed it. Just even to consider one coach, but for folks that really want to succeed in life and especially succeed faster and especially actually save time and money, having coaches, having a team that helps you is above and beyond the smartest thing that can be done. It is the brilliant thing. And what I'll tell folks in a nutshell is that you can do it alone, but it is risky because not here's where the risk comes in. You hit it, Elijah, when you said that it can take a long time. Yes, that's very true, and we can't get time back. But the risk is that sometimes when we go it alone, unfortunately things are too much and we actually drop the goal, we drop the plan, we don't move forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love what you just said. Thanks for sharing that, cuz like I said, one assistant, fantastic. And when you start to think of it that way, hey, I can get multiple assistants to help me reach
Mhm.
levels of success, phenomenal.
Yeah. Actually, it was about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I joined my first coaching organization. I'd been a business owner for 2.5 years. And I joined an organization where I travel. Now I do this quarterly, where I travel and I meet with 13 other attorneys who all act as a collective board of directors. And I have one mentor there, and they help direct the business. So that's our business organization coach. And
Mhm.
they're phenomenal. And I'm really glad that you do what you do. So you asked a couple of questions, and I want to make sure that we ask you the right questions because it's really valuable to have a life coach in front of you. I know how
Mhm.
valuable that is. First question that I have for you, which is a little bit off topic here, but What prevents people from making positive change in their lives?
The things that prevent people from making positive changes in their lives are the following. The first biggest one is they simply don't know what they don't know. They don't
Mhm.
know that, for example, they don't know that they're approaching relationships guarded. All they know is that, why do I keep attracting the same person I don't want? Or why can't I make friends? Or
Mhm.
why does my networking stall? If you were speaking about business, they don't know that there are different mindsets and tools and strategies to actually increase our wealth and financial freedom. They just don't know, they don't know. So there's certain things where folks just don't know. And then another thing is, once there's an opening there, is that there may be a lot of fear or kind of trepidation around reaching out to someone that, you don't know, right? It's a professional, but this is a different kind of field, perhaps. And
Right.
so you're like,
Right.
gosh, can they help me? Is this going to work? So that's another kind of challenge that people face when
Right.
it comes to changing their life or reaching out to reach a new level. And then the third big thing that I see that is a really common theme is that most of us simply are not born into the collective that will take us to the next level. And so
Yep.
it's very challenging to look around you and imagine that these folks that you love and that are amazing in their own right are not the ones that are going to help you go where you haven't been before. So
Mhm.
these are three kind of common things I think a lot of people, they're embedded beliefs. And so it's a challenge, and those openings are what are required to then start to say, hey, let me explore this assistance that is available to me.
I think that if I like to look at things at their core. And if I was going to, I don't want to, again, I don't want to label anybody, but to me, when you say that, to me, I hear two words. I hear vision and value. So I
Mhm.
hear vision. Where do I want to go in the future? Right. What do I want to be in the future? And if I don't have a vision, then I'm never going to get there. And then I don't need a coach. Right. I'm just going to stay where I am. I know how to do what I do now. I'm pretty good at it.
Sure.
And the second thing is value. How do I know how to value someone else's effort, someone else's time? And I
Mhm.
think for a business owner, it might be easier than for an individual person. For a business owner, they know that that my ability to contribute more value to other people and to my organization means more money, right? It just does.
Absolutely.
And so for an individual person, they have to find value in improving a certain aspect of their life that a coach might be able to help them with. And that's a hard thing to value if they're looking at deciding, do I go on vacation or do I invest a couple $1,000s into coaching?
It can certainly be a challenge if that is the perspective. But what if, just like with business, in business, we know, okay, because we're measured, we're calculating, and we're also putting value into the marketplace. So we're
Mhm.
seeing how this whole transaction actually multiplies. But
Right.
for the person, for the individual, it may seem at first as though, oh gosh, I'm going to choose coaching and miss out on this. But actually, when you choose coaching, then you're getting a dividend from that investment. Whereas I do believe, hey, travel, honey, it also, there's lots that comes from that. But what
Sure.
I'm saying is, like, it's like you're putting money in the bank. You're putting money in the bank towards the goals that are really meaningful to you. So, for example, if you're coming to me for health coaching, how valuable is your health? How valuable is it for you to wake up feeling better without these kind of chronic
Yep.
feelings that you can't put a name to? And the doctor was either telling you it's just something that happens or take this. How valuable is it to realize, hey, I am guarded, and all of a sudden your relationships flourish and your
Yep.
marriage? Or so, yeah, it can be hard to place, but not really. If we really think about it, there are certain things we know as consumers in general, just human beings. There are certain things that we know that when we place the money there, it's gone. And
Yep.
there's other things where it's like when we place our money, our investment, our time, something's going to come from that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That brings me back to two different phrases that I think about a lot. One of them is that the best money you can possibly invest is to invest in yourself and your own growth.
Yes.
And I heard that actually at a business conference in Las Vegas. where there was a very wealthy, very successful man who ran 13 businesses at the same time. It was very impressive. Husband and
Wow.
wife pair. And he explained that when you're when that unless you run a huge company, the best investment you can possibly make is in yourself because the return is so high, right? And
Yes.
I've seen that in my own life with relationships with my wife and my children, just having someone just give perspective, even just a friend. So
Mhm.
having someone give perspective and give honest and direct feedback to me when I'm open and vulnerable, and someone who cares, someone who really wants to help, and just improved my relationships a great deal. So I'm with you. I totally understand, totally value that.
Yeah, I've definitely felt the effects of that too. That's why I got into this initially.
Mhm.
I didn't wake up one day and say, "Hey, I'm going to be a life coach." It
Sure.
started off way deep in my past when I needed to find out how to reach next levels that were nowhere near me.
Mhm.
And in the process of doing this, multiple things, whether it's lack mindset, having to succeed without support, how to go into business, how to change my mindsets. Because let's be honest, even once we make an initial decision towards success, there is something around the bend that is going to press that button or cause us to want to shrink back. So these were things I was constantly coming face to face with. And as I started to discover tools to help myself out, and then ended up developing a method to of transformation that started to help my friends, family, and other people, it became something that it's like when you know something good, you have got a hot tip and you just can't wait to share it. And that's what started happening. I was living concurrently my childhood dream in entertainment and put that aside to do this because I'm like, this is my calling. I
Mhm.
love
Mhm.
the arts. Yes, everything has been amazing, but it was that because it's like, this means so much to me to help
Yeah.
people save time they can never get back, money, and really unlock those, have the keys to unlock those things. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love what you said there. So who is Teemaree? Who are you?
Who am I? Oh my gosh, I'm
Yeah.
so many things. I'm so many things, personally or professionally.
Well, I
Uh,
leave it to you. This is your
I am a life, health, and business coach. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a friend. I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm someone who has come from nothing and made something out of that. I'm someone who loves to grow and learn. Yeah, I'm many things.
Mhm.
I'm an artist. So, yeah, I'm a healer of sorts in some arenas with different modalities that I also use. I'm a child of God. I'm many things.
You are many things, as most people are.
Yes.
Most people are more than just what they present in one face. I wanted to share with you a little bit about why I asked you to come on the podcast,
Okay.
because this is a podcast about trust and estate planning. It's boring stuff, right? But at the same time, it's about life. It's
Mhm.
about people's lives. And I wanted you to come on the podcast because you had such a vivacious presence. And because I also wanted you to give your perspective about why it's important to plan ahead for hard things, because hard things are coming. You can't just ignore them.
Yes.
And I'd love your perspective on planning ahead, some maybe an experience or two that you've had about doing that, about how you coach your clients, your mentees, I guess you could call them, right? How
Yes.
you coach those individuals to make difficult decisions. Because in my field, the hardest thing about my field is getting people to make hard decisions.
Yes. And I think we touched a little bit on it previously where you said it's tough to place that value, right?
Yep.
So, we must plan for the hard things for many reasons. The
Mhm.
first, we'll go practical. Okay. So we're living our lives and everything is hopefully wonderful, at least fine. But then a hardship occurs. That hardship can take us from wonderful to fine. And if we're fine, to devastated.
Yep.
We must, from a practical point alone, when we plan for the future, this helps to prevent that. And that actually increases our quality of life. So when we know that we have a little buffer at least, let alone with what you're talking about, with what, when we're building something that truly is a safeguard on many levels, that brings such a sensation of peace to our everyday. because now we know that we're not, things can happen, but we know that we've done something to, again, take care of life as storms, as changes, as new seasons come. So, from a practical level, that is something that's very important. And I certainly learned that throughout my life's path. So, whether it was coming up from nothing and wanting to get something, then now you're like, you're living at a level where you don't have much, and any little storm is really going to knock you down to a place of worry, stress, and just scrambling again. So
Yep.
that was the first thing. Then, as I started to get better and attain more resources and attain more mental and emotional strength and trying to decipher how to fix this, I was challenged again. Because as someone who wants to be an artist, oh boy, talk about peaks and valleys with that type of
Yeah.
career. So
Yeah.
you have to believe and push. If you're not preparing, then now I realize, oh gosh, I can barely sustain this career. So
Mm.
that was another wonderful gift that I got that helped to push me and realize how important this is. Practically speaking, emotionally speaking, another thing I've seen, I it's been a terrible thing to watch people I love get sick
Yeah.
because now so many things have changed in the household. You
Yep.
have the person that was once full of life. They are in pain, they're tired, they're worried, they're becoming less and less of themselves. That's already one problem. Then you have, unfortunately, what happens to the house, the spouse, or the rest of the family. Now, everything, all the energy has changed to what is happening for the loved one. And that's not even talking about the finances, the problems of scheduling doctors and going,
Mm.
everything changes. When we
Mhm.
make a plan for the future, what I do with with my coaching is I'm giving you a plan for life so we can constantly, and what you're doing is you're helping the same, because when we have this plan for the future, now we know, okay, if something goes wrong, these decisions have been decided when everyone's clear headed. These things are taken care of. So now, if we land on a storm or a new season, we're not rocked into devastation right away. And we can also approach things with a sense of peace to now get the next help we need because we have that stronghold. It's of the utmost importance.
Yeah, it totally is. I completely agree. But of course, I'm the guy who tries to avoid the storms, right?
Sure.
Um, and I remember someone asking me, I was giving a story, a combined story of different client matters and things that have happened to different people, and someone looked at me and they said, "Does that really happen?" My answer was, "Yeah, it does." Now, to be clear, all the bad things that I talk about, whatever sort of things happen, I may have a jaded view.
Mhm.
I may have a different view because people call me with problems, right? I'm the
Mhm.
problem solver. So attorneys are problem solvers. So they may call me with the problems, but everything that we talk about on this podcast and that I talk about with customers and that we talk about on our blog, and it all really happens. And it's really sad when it does. And there's kind of nothing that we can do about that except do our best. So,
Yes.
you know, try to do our best. Well, Marie, what sorts of things do you do with your time when you are not helping others become their best self?
Oh my gosh, there's so much that I enjoy doing. I love spending time with my husband. I
Uh-huh.
love exploring. So we're Los Angeles natives. We
Okay.
moved to Detroit, Michigan for fun. This is
For
brand new.
for fun. You
For
moved to Detroit
fun.
for fun? It's isn't it
Yes.
it's rainy here. I think it's snowing there, isn't it?
It's not snowing. It's not snowing. It's raining here too. We do get
Okay.
snow.
Okay.
But yes, listen, we had never been to this side of the nation. We've
Uh-huh.
traveled internationally and nationally as well, but we'd never been to this side of the nation. And so I'm like, hey, that's everything new. We've never had seasons. We'll have seasons. Have new road trips. We'll have a new everything. And so I love, now that we're here, we get to be tourists in our city and tourists on this side of the nation. That's
Mhm.
fun. I love learning. I love learning both new modalities that I can use and help my clients with, but also I just love learning. I love personal development. I love self growth. I love health and wholeness. So I love doing new things in those arenas. And just, yeah. And I love travel as well. So, yeah, when I'm not helping people achieve their next best, then I usually will be like, what's a new thing I can do? And then it's okay, calm down, go live your life. And then I'm like, yeah, let's go have fun and do these wonderful things. So,
You're
yeah.
so animated. You get I love it that we've talked now 3 or 4 times, and I just love it when you get so animated about stuff. You're so vivacious. It's contagious. So, especially like me, like, I'm a finance law guy, I'm kinda boring. So, what let me formulate my thoughts here. What do you do when someone's feelings get in the way of them making some sort of positive adjustment? Because I know for myself, there's some things that when I approach them, that I have a feeling inside. It is literally an emotion that prevents me from having positive movement, and then it's really easy to find something else to do. How do you help people do that?
Well, there are multiple ways, and it usually is customized to what the person is feeling. But we
Mm,
use tools. We use tools, and depending on what the person, for example, if someone skews negative,
okay.
and that's just their kind of general view on life, then really for that client, I certainly am not going to have them spend too much time telling me about their emotions because that is the place we want to get away from. I'm going
Mhm,
to provide tools that's going to help them to remember and see the direction that they want to go and
mhm,
help them to exercise those thoughts, but in a more practical way and a less emotional one because they skew already there. Now, for someone that is a go getter, we are just always on fire, alpha type of person. This person generally, if they're stopped by an emotion, we need to give that person some care. We need to let that person feel that they're safe to express the emotion and to express it and get it out
yeah,
because that person will rise back up again a little bit easier. It really does. There's customization depending on the client and what's happening for them. But no matter what, it's a balance of
mhm,
being able to express the emotion because there's no hiding it. There's no stuffing it. There's no pretending. We
mhm,
must exercise this and I like to do fun things too. So I have different modalities that helps people express it also using different parts of their body. So it's
uh-huh,
not just a bunch of talking. So we get to really get it out, shake it off, and then we can move on. But yes, there's some customization involved. So I
yeah,
like to do the two. What we're doing is exercising this emotion in the way that's safest and best for my client. And then
mhm,
also, we're moving toward what the promise of the new day is, what the goal or plan or wish is.
really
Yeah.
interesting. That's interesting. When you said movement, do you have a background in acting because you were from LA? What type of artistry did you do?
All performance based artistry. So
Mhm,
acting, dancing, singing, modeling, DJing. I've
mhm,
recorded music. So and that's part of my mode. It gets so fun because we get serious. We're using science. But at the same time, honey, we are not bored up in here. We're gonna
mhm,
move. We're gonna play. We're going to let it out because
yep,
I was like, if there is one more boring thing for adults, I'm going to scream and flip an imaginary table. This is
yep,
not right.
yep.
Because just
It's
because we're adults, it's made complicated and hard and logical, which is
mhm,
beautiful. But I love to bring play and joy and movement and creativity.
yeah,
That's part of my personally developed method of making
yeah.
change fun.
I think that's great. Yeah, at my firm, when we hire a new employee, we interview a lot of people, a
Yeah.
lot. Because the most important thing that we can do is that we can connect with people on an emotional level. Because
Mhm.
when I had a meeting with someone today, his sister died, and it was a really horrible experience. And now they deal with the financial catastrophe that they have to deal with now.
Yeah.
And the best thing that I can do for him is to be the logical lawyer, step by step thing, and connect with him emotionally and say, I'm really sorry you're going through this. We're going to help
Mhm.
you. We're going to support you. Here's what we need to do. And so I totally get that. You connect with people. The reason why I say that we interview so many people is because we need to have someone who works well with our team. And it's really an emotional thing. It's not an intellectual thing. It's an emotional thing about whether people work well together, because we've had people at our firm who were not so friendly and not so nice. And I don't want to tell people how to be, but
Mhm.
if they work well together and they have really an emotional connection, it just everything's so much better. And the clients really feel it. The thing that meant the one of the things that meant the most to me about being a business owner. So we had a new employee that started. She was sitting there just on her first day, just getting set up and learning about how things worked. And she looked at me and she said, "You know what? It just feels good here." And that's what I want for people. I want them
Yes.
to feel good, to connect. Now, I'm not the one who's telling them to move and to laugh and to jump up and down, but there's a lot of laughter here.
Mhm.
There are a lot of tears, and this is a safe place. So, same thing, but I'm far less vivacious. Just personality wise, at least not here.
Hey, we all have our path and our wonderful ways that we serve people, right? And yes, you're absolutely right. Creating that wonderful workplace where folks are coming together. And I remember from our conversations past, that is very important to you and
It
very
is.
important to your firm and to the
Mhm.
service that you provide, the relationships and the connection, and feeling that you're using your professional services to care and
Yep,
serve your clients. And so it's a beautiful thing. And yes, energy is everything.
absolutely. It really is everything. I heard a quote on a podcast. I love to listen to podcasts. I heard a quote on a podcast about 3 months ago that really stuck with me, and I had heard it before, but it said that in 150 years, you and I will be gone, and everybody that know will be gone, and everybody that knew what we did will be gone, and everybody that knew us or that knew of our work, that knew us personally, they'll be gone too. And the only thing that you take with you when you go is your experiences. So you should really maximize your experiences and try to learn and grow as much as you can, because that's what you have. Everything that you do, it's going to be dust. But what you leave behind are your experiences. So try to get as many of those as you can. I think
Yes.
that's fantastic advice. I really try to do that. The last year, my family and I, we went on 3 vacations. We went to Yosemite.
Mhm.
We went to Las Vegas. That was a work thing for me. And then we went to the Grand Canyon. That was a bucket list thing for me. That was fun.
The
That was
Grand
exciting.
Canyon
The
is
Grand Canyon.
phenomenal.
It's so beautiful. If people haven't gone to Yosemite and the Grand Canyon, they should absolutely go. It's fantastic. Yeah.
The Grand Canyon, all the places I have not been to Yosemite, all the places you've mentioned are lovely. The reason why I just wow, the Grand Canyon, it is so funny. It is in the title. It says the Grand Canyon, and yet you go and you're like, it
Holy
doesn't
moly.
translate in
Mhm.
pictures,
It doesn't.
nothing.
It
No.
doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't translate. And just the beauty and majesty of what there is there. Right. And you can think, yeah, it's just a hole in the ground. Yeah, it's just a big crack, whatever it is. No, it is fundamentally huge. And just to learn things and then to experience them. I remember
Mhm.
going with my kids and there was an elk that was just hanging out in the forest. We walked past, they had never seen this huge animal that's 12 feet tall. And he
Yes.
was just hanging out, standing there. And they got to experience things like that in these places, which is just incredible.
Yes. Those are the things that color our lives and make them, like you said, important and valuable. That
Yeah.
truly is what we hold on to.
Mhm. And there is a study at Harvard. I'm a big data guy. I like proof of what works. And there was a study at Harvard that studied very successful business majors for 80 years. The longest sociology project in history, at least in the United States. They tracked people from the time that they were at Harvard to the time that they were dying. And talking to these very successful business people, they asked them, what are the things that are most important to you? I asked them a 100 question questionnaire. And the things that were most important to people were their relationships. The
Yes.
relationships that they formed with other people, whether they were work, whether they were family, whether they were friends, long-standing, productive, emotionally intimate relationships. And that's really what they valued, and that's what made them feel successful. It wasn't money, it wasn't business success, it wasn't the contract, it wasn't the deal, it wasn't the sale, it wasn't the production, it was the relationship. And so
Mhm.
that's really what I've tried to focus on here, because that's what actually drives people. It's
Yes.
actually what makes people happy. It's a very tactical decision by me to think that if I can make people's life better, if I focus on the relationship with them, that's what they will value. And so that's what I do.
Yes. I do the same thing with my work, and you're absolutely right. So the relationship is very important. That takes
Mhm.
it from this transactional experience. It's okay, I'm going to go buy a pack of gum. I'm just going to go to whatever store and I'm
Yep.
just going to get gum. Whereas once there's that relationship there and we're able to really have this shorthand, there's just volumes of more value that is expressed and experienced. And it really does make a profound change. So,
Mhm.
with those relationships, we're able to remember more, feel more,
Mhm.
express more, experience more because we've gone deeper. It's no longer this like transactional or superficial situation. So, yes, it's very key to have that relationship be paramount in a very yes, there are things that we choose as business owners and as people in these positions. We're making choices that are specific to provide the service. But
Mhm.
ultimately, there's a heart opening. It goes from, I've planned this to provide the service to, okay, I'm here with you. And yeah, I found too, it makes all the difference, not only in my coaching practice when I'm the coach, but even when I'm a consumer in different situations. It makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, it really does. Teemaree, it's been wonderful talking with you again. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Do you have any final thoughts? And after that, how can people find you if they're interested in speaking to you?
Thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. Whoever you are listening, thank you for being here. Remember that you're loved, you're wanted, and you're so needed. So needed, just with everything that you've got. So the best way to reach me is at teemaree.com, teemaree.com for all the things, including additional connection and to reach out. I'd love to, I'd love to meet you, speak with you, hear from you. And yes, it's really me. So I had someone say, oh, I don't think it's going to be you. I'm like, no, it'll really be me in terms of the responses that you'll get. So reach out. I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much. This has been The Keys to Your Legacy, a podcast focused on trust and estates issues. We went a little bit off of financial today, but just as important as anything else. Follow us on wherever you find podcasts on YouTube, Amazon, Spotify. I'm not sure where else. And follow along so that we can help you develop the keys to your legacy. Thanks so much.
You've been tuning into The Keys to Your Legacy with your host, Elijah Keys. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, keyslawgroup.com. Thank you for your positive